This video was produced from the organization of 7 slides that will be presented. I will read what's written and then a description of the images, as well as the translation of the written text into the sign language. First slide. In large letters, centralized, black ink is written. Global report organized by the World Federation of Deafblind and Sense International. One line below, in centralized black ink, is written, at risk of exclusion from the implementation of CDPD and ODS. On the next line, with red capital letters, is written, people with deafblindness and employment. Second slide. On the top left, in red ink, centered, it says, people with deafblindness in the countries studied are less likely to be working than people without disabilities, and less likely to be working than people with other disabilities in many countries. Below is a graphic. Vertically is written the prevalence and the numbers in percentage, 0%, 20.0% to 100.0%. On the horizontal line are written names of the 11 countries that presented data: Sudan, Mexico, Ireland, USA, Indonesia, Ghana, Vietnam, Uruguay, Tanzania, South Africa, and Brazil. We highlight the data from Brazil, which shows that people with deafblindness are 40% less likely to be working. People with other disabilities are also 40%, and people without disabilities are a little over 60%. USA data shows that people with deafblindness are just over 30% likely to be working, people with other disabilities just over 35%, and people without disabilities almost 80%. Third slide. At the top, centered in red, is written, comparing to non-disabled people, people with deafblindness are less likely to work after age and gender analysis. A line down to the left side in justified black ink is written, there was no consistent tendency between men with deafblindness and men with other types of disabilities, but women with deafblindness are less likely to work than women with other conditions of disability, after analyzing age and gender. On the right side, in central black ink is written, men can work, and next to it there is a colorful photograph of two men sitting in front of a table. The man on the left is sitting right in front of an open laptop, and the man on the right holds a pen in his hands. They talk. A line below, in central black ink, is written, women must take care of the house. And on the left side, there is a colorful photograph of a woman standing with cleaning gloves on her hands. In her right hand, she holds a broom, and in her left hand, a shovel. She is in the living room of a house that shows to be quite messy. She is standing in front of a sofa. Fourth slide. On the top left, in red ink, centered, it says, people with deafblindness who are not working are less likely to look for work than people without disabilities who are not working. Below is a graphic. Vertically, the prevalence is written and the numbers in percentage, 0.0%, 10.0%, 60.0%. On the horizontal line are written the names of the 11 countries that have presented data: Sudan, Mexico, Ireland, USA, Indonesia, Ghana, Vietnam, Uruguay, Tanzania, South Africa, and Brazil. We highlight the data from Brazil, which shows that people with deafblindness are 15% less likely to look for a job. People with other disabilities are also 15%, and people without disabilities just over 20%. USA data shows that people with deafblindness are almost 10% likely to look for a job, people with other disabilities 10%, and people without disabilities almost 30%. Right below, in centered black ink, is written, although it's easier to find an informal job, the job is usually less stable, with lower wages and no protection for workers. Example, sickness insurance, retirement, or accident representation. 50th slide. At the top center, in red, is written, most WFDB members have a negative perception of government efforts to ensure equal opportunities in work and employment for people with deafblindness. 2 lines below, on the left side, in centered black ink is employment policies do not consider people with deafblindness. On the right side, there is a colorful photograph of a table. On it there are some papers. On the right appear the hands of a man. With the right hand he holds a pen and writes on a paper that is on the table. The left hand of a man also appears on some papers, and in front of it is a white cup on a plate. Right below, in justified black ink, is written, "Many people with deafblindness can receive disability benefits, which are usually determined by qualifying resources or the requirements for work." 60th slide. On the left, there is a colorful photograph of a man sitting down. He wears a light blue jeans and a colorful plaid shirt. He's holding a hand scale and weighs a bag of grain. It is possible to see that he is sitting on a colorful quilt and that he is visually impaired by the appearance of his eyes. Behind him, there are some products that are not possible to identify. On the right side, at the top center, in red, it's written, "Current Initiatives." A line below, in centralized black ink, is written, "In India, most adults with deafblindness work on their own." 1 line below, in centered red ink, is written, "Since India and partner organizations in 22 states have implemented a vocational training program for youth with deafblindness." And finally, a line below, in central black ink, is written, "An advocacy and awareness program for officers resulted in the Industrial Training Institute, including youth with deafblindness and vocational training." At the same time, 90 adults with deafblindness received training, counseling, and start-up capital to establish their income-generating activities. 70th slide. On the top, in red ink, centered, it says "Credits." Right below, in black ink, centralized, it's written, "Creation and editing by Fernanda Falkowski. Screenplay of the audio description by Fernanda Falkowski. Portuguese translation by Shirley Maia. Portuguese narration by Fernanda Falkowski. Spanish narration by Ximena Serpa. English translation by Ana Carolina. English narration by Débora de Magalhães. Sign language translation by Renan Antonello.